Hey guys, welcome back to the Route 281 podcast, your weekly look into the lives of the people that make Somerset County and the Laurel Highlands such a special place to be. Today's guest is an elementary principal at Eagle View Elementary School in Somerset, PA, and I can tell you they are lucky to have him. He's a great guy, and I enjoyed spending time with him, so I hope you enjoy this episode. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, give us a follow on Spotify also. And it is my pleasure to welcome Mr. Marc Cacciotti. And I'm my own producer and editor at the same time I'm doing this.
Okay.
So I always get a little distracted at the first because I'm making sure, because I've had issues and I'm like, then I get gun shy and then I'm paranoid. And half the time I'm thinking about this and I'm not thinking about talking to you. So I just like get this out of the way.
We'll record stuff at school and kids are like, all right, if you don't do it right on this one, you can do it next one. I was like, one take.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not
You ever try taking a family picture? Nobody ever told me how hard that would be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or like just getting everybody in the same room at one time to do anything anymore. It's like a task.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah. It's, I was not ready for that. All right. Looks like we're good. We're rock and rolling. Okay. Marc Cacciotti, the elementary principal at Eagle View in Maple Ridge.
At Eagle View, yes.
Eagle View.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that's the Somerset Area School District, which is our largest school district in the county.
It is by far.
Yeah.
Yeah. We graduate around 150 kids per grade level.
Okay.
So it varies a little bit, but I think the next biggest districts are probably under 100 kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. North Star, Berlin. So.
Yeah. Have you seen? I hadn't really planned on asking you this, but like, has enrollment up, down, where like?
Yeah, steady decline.
Really?
I think that's pretty typical for all areas in PA.
Yeah.
Maybe not some of those urban areas, but I think you'll talk to people from Somerset that say, "Oh, I graduated with 250 people, 300 people," and maybe that was even 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So we're hovering around the 150 mark per class. Some classes are small in that 130 range. As the kindergarten classes come in, we can see that trend, but it is trending downward.
Yeah. Why do you think that is? Like, what are your thoughts on that? Like,
yeah, I don't know. I think maybe just folks moving out of the area. So our kids that are graduating, trying to find opportunities. They're heading to college, finding those opportunities there, and then making connections, and then heading maybe to warmer weather, but just places where they have a little more industry.
Yeah. I saw the geese heading for warmer weather. Like in the past couple of weeks, I've been seeing them, tons of geese. And which is encouraging because I think the groundhog was wrong. I'll go with the geese. The groundhog's not a migratory animal.
Yeah.
But the Canadian geese, I think, have it figured out. They've been doing this a long time. So, which they're not wrong. It's kind of been warmer, which
I'll take it.
Yeah. Hey, let's be honest. Summer is right around the corner, and it's not too soon to start planning that summer vacation. So contact Lindsay at Quiet Waters Travel. Message her on Facebook or check out her website or email her. I'll put the link in the description. But Lindsay's an expert. She'll help you plan your trip and make it as smooth as possible. Whether you want a hotel on the beach, an all-inclusive resort to Mexico, or a cruise to the Bahamas, contact Lindsay at Quiet Waters Travel. Yeah, me too. That was a rough about a month or so.
Yeah. I think most of our schools in the county, Somerset, we had our flexible instruction days.
Yeah.
Because of that temperature, it's -20, -30. We have a really large walk zone, so we have like 200 kids that are within about a mile's radius.
Oh.
And they don't have the option to be bused.
Yeah.
So they can drive, they can have someone drop them off, but sidewalks connect to the school, so those students have the ability to walk. That's pretty cold.
Yeah.
Some of those sidewalks aren't cleared off. So.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, you can get frostbite pretty quick.
For sure.
Yeah, I think I have it on one of my toes. I was like, tell my wife, I was like, I don't know where I would have got it. I was outside doing some stuff, but It's like, I've never felt that before. I don't know what frostbite feels like, but yeah, I think I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, so how's the flexible days? Is that working out?
Yeah, it works really well. Our teachers are prepared. We talk to our kids, obviously elementary age, so we show them exactly what they all have iPads.
Yeah.
We show them weeks before, winter, like that weather is coming, how they're getting into Schoology, what button they're clicking to get into Zoom, where the packets are. We send packets home. So I think it's a nice mix. We call some parents to say like, hey, how's everything going? Do you need any help? And some of them are like, hey, they're going to daycare. So at daycare, there's 30 kids whenever there's a flexible instruction day. I'm not able to get my child online because there's so many of the students there.
Yeah.
So is it okay that they just do the packet? Like,
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's
Yeah.
why we send it. So it's kind of the best of both worlds.
Yeah. You don't have to skip days then.
No. Yeah. We can have our day counted, which is excellent. And I know, that's tough because some people want to just have that ability to go outside, play in the snow, or relax, which is great. We give 2 days that are built in where they can just do that. They can have their snow days, and we have built-in snow days later on in the year. And then after that, we start using our virtual days. And any day we have, we're up against the test, PSSA testing. That's in April. So any day that we can build some knowledge with students, where we're not tacking them on at the end of the year, where the test is already over, we feel like it's a little bit more meaningful. So once you take that day from February and put it in June, it loses some value.
Yeah.
In June, it gets difficult to keep everyone's attention. And,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Warm weather.
Yeah. I have a hard time keeping my attention when the weather gets warm. I want to do anything but work or whatever. But yeah. So we got connected. By the way, thank you so much for coming and doing this, because I appreciate you taking your time to come and sit with me in the den here and talk. But before we go any farther, I got a gift for you.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, yes. That's the podcast hat. Don't know if you're a hat guy, but maybe someone is.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so that's the guests that come on the show all have one. So if you see somebody in Somerset running around with that hat on, you'll have something in common.
I appreciate it. Feel honored.
You'll have an experience in common. Whether it was good or not, we'll see. But
that'll be good. Yeah, I faith in
you. So we got connected through a mutual friend, Bill Krauscher. He was my first guest. He was the guinea pig.
Okay.
Which I give him some credit for doing that.
Yeah.
But so how you know Bill? Through church, and you say he was helping you, or just kind of like you wanted to get your kid involved in some hunting and stuff like that.
Yeah. So met Bill through our men's group that we do at St. Peter's Church, and he leads a lot of those just events that we have. He's such a knowledgeable guy, so patient, so organized.
Yeah.
Talked to him about my son, who is really into hunting and fishing because it's Somerset.
Yeah.
And I grew up in Altoona.
Yeah.
So I'm like, don't know that much about hunting and fishing. Talking to Bill, and he's like, yeah, my kids are kind of grown. Like, I would love to help you out.
Yeah.
I have some resources, even if it's just the space to where you need to hunt at, the guns, the gear. There's so much.
Yeah, there's a ton of we my daughters have taken an interest. We have a church that we did a youth event, which was a sporting clay day.
Oh, cool.
And one of the guys at the church just kind of like what Bill did, just said, come out to the property, got a clay shooter, and we'll set it up, had a picnic, and just let the kids learn safely. Some adults, everybody who knew what was going on, have been around guns, taught them basic safety, and then let them have at some clays. Started them off with like a pallet with clays hanging on it to let them feel the gun, see the accomplishment of actually hitting one, and then they moved on to shooting the clay, which was great, because it gave kids who had never shot a gun an experience to learn safely, one, and two, be a little bit more confident next time they go do it. So I hope we continue that, because it was a good time.
It's awesome.
Yeah. Like you said, there's so much to learn. But what about like bow hunting? Do you have any interest in that?
Yeah, he does. Same type of thing of, I need to get a bow. I need to find that time and energy. Yeah. Because he's like, let's go bow hunt. Let's get a deer. Like, that sounds cool. I think there's a lot of things that go into that. And even when we went with Bill, I'm like, what happens if we shoot a deer?
Yeah, right.
Because
What's
then
next?
he's like,
that's when
we'll get there.
Yeah. Has that happened yet for him?
No, it hasn't happened.
Yeah. How many kids do you have?
I have 4 kids. So I have my oldest daughter, Maria, is in 9th grade at Somerset, and she's 15. And my daughter, Lydia, is in 7th grade at Somerset. She's 13. My son Leo is 11. He's at Eagle View in Somerset. And my daughter Sylvia is 7. She's at St. Peter's in first grade.
Nice.
Yeah. Busy.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
And so when you came here, I'm like, yeah, I've seen you before, but we never really got to meet officially.
Yeah.
But, and it was probably through sports. So if your daughter's 15, my oldest daughter is 15 also, and she's in musical and dance and stuff like that now, but they did softball at one time. I don't know if your kids did that.
Yeah.
Okay. But then my middle daughter plays junior high basketball. Okay. So I think we played Somerset one game, I think. So probably there.
Yeah.
But I'll say, and I don't know if you share this, but like, it's way different. I feel like it's different now, the sporting culture, than it was whenever I was a kid. And I never anticipated that it would, I would be spending so much time. Like, I could get in my truck and I'm pretty sure it will know the way to Rockwood without me doing anything. Like, there's multiple times we're there several times a day. Is it like that for you?
Yeah, I mean, they're all in sports. My oldest daughter is volleyball and softball. Lydia is cross country, basketball, and track. Son Leo is football, basketball, baseball, and so we're just coming into that basketball and the softball. It's so busy, and it does kind of consume your life.
Yeah.
We try to have that balance because we just think family is that rock. Like, we have to be together. We got to eat dinner together.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And it seems like, you're playing your recreation sports, you're playing sports in town, you can handle that. Start talking about travel sports would probably be a whole other podcast, take you all day. But sometimes it feels like it pulls away at that family unit.
Yeah.
We try to really avoid having them travel too far, because it's great for that child that's playing the travel basketball, but what about your other kids? Who are they with?
Right. How does it affect the family as a whole?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to look at that, right, as a dad.
Yeah. That. I mean, I think that like you said, it is good for that kid. But how does it affect everybody? And I enjoy going with him. I'm glad that I'm there to watch, and I see. It's like, I love being involved, and I go to everything that I possibly can. Same with my wife. We'll coach if we can, if they need us, which takes a lot of time. I'm no expert in anything, but like, if somebody just needs some, I stepped into softball coaching. I played Little League.
Right.
And then baseball, like 1 or 2 years in high school. And but I was never a coach. I found out I think I had more fun than the kids. Dude, I was like, it was so much fun. I really enjoy kids in that way. I like seeing the kids improve. Probably maybe more so than winning, when you see a kid get it. Definitely. And they make that step into like a little bit of confidence, or they find that inner passion or drive to compete. Because I don't, and they find that at different ages, don't they?
For sure.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell, like, work with those little ones. I think that's, back to education basis. No one's getting rich in education. Our teachers always say, kind of joke with them of like, you're probably gonna have average cars, and you're not gonna be, top of the pay scale, but you get to have those moments with kids where it's so rewarding, where they're like, oh, that's what you meant by that. I get it. Yeah. And it's the same with sports of like, hey, if your hands are here and you're getting your bat through, you're going to be able to hit the ball a little better. And once they have like that physical development and they have their mind and body connection, and it starts to happen, you see them like just beam. You're like, yeah, this is definitely why I want to do this.
Yeah, it's fun to watch them get it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then whenever and like, winters are long here, so I really enjoy like the winter sports, because it does give us something to do on a cold night in January. At least they're in the gym with their friends,
right?
Even if it's practice or and we go as much as we can together. So if we are traveling to Johnstown for a game, we're there together. We sit in the stands together. We watch. We support each other. Each kid knows that, hey, she did this for you, and you're gonna do this for her. And but if the older they get, and the more they get involved in different stuff, it's harder.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And like you said, we love trying to be together with it, and then having them just learn. I mean, what's the percentage of kids that are going to the pros? I don't know. It's not real high. So we're like, hey, have fun while you're doing it. Understand that you have a coach. You may like that coach. You may not love that coach. But at some point, you're going to have a job, and you may love that boss, and maybe not.
Yeah.
You're going to have coworkers, you're going to have teammates, you got to work with them. So my dad would always just instill, like, sports are very similar to life. You have people that you're going to get along with, you have to work with, and really you're just trying to be successful and hopefully have fun. You get upset when you see that those sports aren't fun for them at a young age.
Yeah.
They start to be like a little job, and try to pull back. But you know how as dads and adults we love to push that. Try to find that balance.
Yeah. That's the Allstate commercial where he's like, I didn't make it to the pro leagues, but doesn't mean my kid can't, and he's there.
Yeah.
That's they captured that pretty well. Yeah, I don't like to see that either, but it's like, hey, you want to play? I'll support you. I don't care if you want to be, do whatever. You want to try golf next? Fine, I'll support you.
Absolutely.
But you want to do it. I'm not pushing them into, I encourage them. Hey,
right.
You're pretty talented at this. You ought to try it. But there's a line there.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like, it was a thing that we're navigating as parents that I really wasn't like, oh, that's going to be a big deal someday. I didn't think that, but I'm glad that, kids are active and they have opportunities to do these things.
Right.
It is important. Socialize. The world tries to tell us that, separate. But these sporting events allow these kids to be kids.
Sure. Yeah. Like you said, just be active, be healthy. We talk about like your body, how to feed it. That was my first degree in college, was kinesiology and movement science. So I'm interested in that. I really appreciate being able to move and being able to work out. I still do that every day. I hope that can trickle down to my kids to say, like, yeah, you're doing sports, and I love the competitiveness of sports. And they are starting to see that too. That's going to end at some point. You're going to be a 44-year-old dad that you're not competing in basketball anymore.
Yeah.
But are you going to the gym? Are you playing some golf? Are you playing pickleball? Are you like having fun and being able to move? Hopefully they can pull that as well as all those other life lessons that we talked about from sports. Yeah. It's the goal.
So how important is that to you? And I appreciate that because that is good for kids to see. Somebody setting an example, and you are, How important is that for you, like as a principal, to have your students see you modeling that type of priority in your health and in your life, devotion to family, and just the things that are real? Because I think it's important. Our kids are searching for real things like hunting, sports, and family. So how important is it to you to model that type of thing?
Yeah, I think it's just that practice what you preach, right? So, our school, like the culture of the school is supposed to be like positive, healthy, safe. And I think whenever we are those things, then we can say like, this is how I live. This is how our teachers live. This is how we're trying to instill that into you. I think, being a guy that is able to move with them, I think is pretty fun. It's like an aspect where I can maybe like grab their attention. So, we give little tickets out there, SOAR tickets, and these orange tickets, and that's their incentive to say like, hey man, you did a really good job today. Here's your SOAR ticket. You did a great job on your test today. Grab one of those SOAR tickets. And then they can spend those tickets in different ways. So little kids, it seems like third graders, they love trinkets. They love little gadgets and fidgets and stuff. And we have a store, and they're priced by tiered levels of like 5 tickets, you can spend it on this. So we talked to them about saving and talked to them about they can spend now or they can kind of save and get something that's bigger. But then we have a lot of experiences, and we have awesome counselors there. Counselors will do lunch bunches, so you can buy 30 tickets, you can eat lunch with Mr. Fuffman, and 30 tickets, you can play basketball with me, ball with Cacciotti. So it's pretty neat to see like half the gym they're eating, and the other half of the gym is open up, and we're playing basketball, and it's cool. Like that's someone that they can run, and they can shoot with me, and we can have fun, and we can play, but then they can also explain to me like academics, and explain to me what it's like to be, especially those little boys. Hey, you're a boy. You're going into a young man here pretty soon. By the time you leave 5th grade, you're going into junior high. If you get in trouble, if you make a mistake, you sit up, you look someone in the eye and say like, I made that mistake. Yeah. You're going to have a consequence. We're going to move on. That's okay. We all just want you to be successful. Yeah. So I think all those different aspects really, they come into play.
Yeah, for sure. What's kind of your favorite age group, when you...
Yeah, I've done them all, literally. So this is my 22nd year in education, And I was hired at 22 as the high school phys ed teacher, which was it was interesting.
At Somerset?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So when did you move from Altoona to here? Or
Yeah, then I'd never even heard of Somerset really before that. Just applied to different places all throughout the state. Got hired at Somerset. If you know Hank Sembauer, he was the phys ed teacher that had retired, and I filled his position. So I'm 22, and I'm filling a high school boys phys ed position. They're like 17, 18, 19-year-old boys. And I always tell that story. The one kid's like, "How old are you?"
Yeah, right.
And I don't have a beard at that
Yeah.
point. I look like I'm 20.
Yeah, you.
And he did. And he did have a beard. And I'm like, how old are you?
Like, I gotta grow a beard.
Like, oh my gosh, I need to grow up. So high school, it's really fun. You can connect with them. They're young adults. You talked about life, what's happening in their next steps.
Yeah.
A lot of them are already working. I was blown away coming here with how many kids are so responsible. Some of our kids that are in Votech, that are at SCTC, they have co-op jobs. I have a kid say like, "Man, I'm kind of tired today. Like, I was up milking the cows." I was like, "Before school?"
Yeah.
Like, yeah. And then I'm going home and doing that after. I'm like, oh, wow, that's not an Altoona thing.
Yeah.
So just really like taken back by some of the young men that have a lot of responsibility put on them at a young age. So high school was it's a cool time. And then I was at primary, K through 2, and just so fun and so much energy, exhausting, but very rewarding, like we said.
Yeah.
And they start to really like come out of their shell and become, little people that they have their own personality and they're fun to work with. This age that I'm at right now it's kind of like that sweet spot. 3rd, 4th, 5th. They're anywhere from 8 to 12 years old. Very independent, but still able to like listen to you. They respect you. Talk about like, "Oh man, I feel disappointed that you made that decision." And they're like, "Oh man," like they're not like junior high, like, "Well, I don't care if you're disappointed or not."
Right.
They're like, "I don't really want to disappoint him. I sort of like him right
Yeah.
now." So it's a fun age group.
Yeah, that's cool. I can relate to that. Yeah, for sure. I went to Votech. I was that kid, milking cows before school. My family owned a dairy farm. My wife and I just had this conversation the other day about. I was like, I never really, I didn't really care for school that much. And maybe in the typical way, as a kid. But once I went to Votech, I really enjoyed it. Mm-hmm. And I just grew up on a farm, so I was used to working with my hands and just being outside, and so I really took to that and did the co-op thing, and so that was just a case of kind of me finding my niche and knowing that I was probably going to work with my hands someday. So this whole thing is completely foreign to me. That's why, and I do like the administrative side of running my business, as a contractor, doing the quoting and estimating and saying, because I never got to do that. What I mean? I had to sweat for everything and bloody my knuckles or whatever. But I do. It's neat. But that's cool you say that, because each age group kind of has something that you really enjoy about each age group.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's probably like being a principal. You get to. I know you're in middle school now, but you get to see everybody. You're not just in a classroom. So how's that, what's that been like being a principal? How long have you been the principal there?
Yeah, so I was a phys ed teacher for 9 years, and I did high school and elementary, taught summer phys ed, and that would be like junior high through high school. And then I was in the primary building at Maple Ridge for 7 years. In these past 5 years, I've been a principal. So I was a principal at the senior high, mostly senior high. And then the past 3.5 years have been at Eagleview.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of cool. You can impact a lot larger of a population.
Yeah.
You said every day I get to go through, obviously safety is our first thing, checking doors, make sure they're locked, all of our protocols, but being able to pop into every classroom, at least just to say hi, ask teachers what they need for the day. In 3rd grade, you're kind of a rock star. You're like, "Hey, Mr. Cacciotti," which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I'll bet. That's got to be awesome.
Yeah. I know my wife would joke whenever we were, before we were married, I was the phys ed teacher in elementary, and she's like, "You're like Justin Bieber. We go to Walmart, and people are like, there he is."
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, it is neat to see that excitement still. Now it does fade a little bit as they get to 5th grade. They start to get a little bit cooler, and this time of year, we say they start to head towards junior high. They really do, their personalities. But have a connection with that group because my son is that age. So coach some sports with them. The connections with that large population, that's pretty neat. I mean, it's awesome to have that classroom feel. It's so personal, and you get to know the kids so well. And I do miss that a bit because you have a relationship that is really close. You see them every day, and like you said, you're grinding through the math or we're grinding through the ELA work, where I don't have that relationship with them. I get to see them on a bigger scale. We get to do events that are whole school, which is pretty neat. But the teachers have that, just one-on-one connection, which is kind of nice.
Yeah. Has it been hard to adjust? Or what do you think the most challenging part was adjusting to being a principal?
Yeah, that's a good question. Parents are sometimes tricky,
Okay.
which I know because I am a parent.
Yeah,
And sometimes,
right.
I have my own opinion of my child's education. You just have a lot of contact with, principal has probably the most contact with like your teachers, your students, your parents, your other admin colleagues, school board, and then community. So it's nice. I love it. I really enjoyed that. But that was, it was difficult to adjust. And Josh Spangler is the Maple Ridge principal, and he's like, it's consuming.
Yeah.
I'm like, I think I can do it. And I'm like, oh, he's right. It's so consuming. It's all day. You leave at 3 o'clock, and that doesn't mean anything. You leave at 5 o'clock, and that doesn't really mean anything. If there's that call, you're going to take it, which is fine. We like that. That's what we want to do. It's just, it is. It's 24/7.
Yeah. I was going to say, it's not a 9-to-5 job, is it?
No, yeah, definitely not. But that's okay. Like you said, it's so rewarding.
Yeah.
You get to see the school do well. You get to see students do well. You get to see teachers, which is crazy to me because, 44 years old, and I have teachers that are closer in age to my 15-year-old daughter. So I call them kids. And like, yeah, these kids are coming in. Like, the teachers, they're professionals. They're young adults. They're me at 22.
Yeah.
So you get to see them grow, which is cool.
Yeah.
You get to watch them start their families, which is pretty neat too.
Yeah.
So you get to see them grow, not just in that educational world, but with their family, and see them, become wives or husbands, and it's pretty neat to watch.
Yeah. What makes a good elementary school teacher?
Yeah, I think the relationships, just kind of like what anyone would say if they're in that person, that personal type business. Their relationships with obviously their students, their relationships with their colleagues, their relationships with just the community in whole. And we are so blessed. We have so many great teachers that they care, they're super passionate, and then they're good people person, so they can connect with folks on a different level, because connecting with a student that's really advanced is different than a student that might struggle and might have a disability, but they're able to differentiate and they go right into it. And it's pretty cool because I get to go into every classroom, do walkthroughs, do their observations, and they just do it so naturally. It just comes to them.
Yeah.
Like, man, you can see that like you were born to teach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. My wife's a teacher.
Okay.
Yeah, she taught. When we first got married, we were living down near Pittsburgh, and she was teaching at an alternative education center there. So she had help. Because there was, kids that came from unfortunate circumstances. No, but just that was a, some of the people that were from down there, like, my wife is so sweet and kind of quiet at that time, and they were like, oh, we don't give this girl a couple weeks.
Yeah.
But she held the line with these kids and respected them, and like kind of earned their respect at the same time, because she gave them respect, even though they were like kind of rough on her. Ended up, I think she was there for 6 or 7 years.
Oh, wow.
And the kids will get a kick out of that. I didn't mean to say that, but I don't even know what that's about. But anyway, I find myself catching it. But she when our daughter turned 1, she decided, or we decided that we wanted her to be a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah.
So we've been blessed to be able to do that ever since, and don't regret a day of it. It's made sacrifices to do that, but no, she's an excellent teacher, and some of my kids, at least one, has expressed interest in being a teacher.
Okay.
My oldest is learning. They do this Duolingo,
Yeah.
and so I got two of my kids are doing Duolingo right now, and they love it. They're on there. They do not want to miss it.
Yeah.
They get on. My oldest is learning Korean, and my middle daughter is learning Spanish, and so I'm like, I speak a little Spanish because I worked on the golf course for 10 years.
Okay.
And that's what I went to school for. And every golf course I ever worked at was highly Hispanic staff. And so I just was immersed in that culture. Even just living here in the U.S., but it was neat for me because I had to learn out of necessity if I wanted to know how to interact, which I did. I like people, and I wanted to talk with them, not just mow beside them or whatever we did, but and then even going into like that type of to be a superintendent or a leadership position, and you 9 chances out of 10 if you're working in the southern part of the United States, like you're going to have a Hispanic staff. So I took it that it was important for me to learn Spanish. I took a class at the University of Maryland, and I learned, it's probably my fault, but I learned way more from the guys that I worked with, being immersed in that culture, than I did at that. But I was learning the fundamentals from the university class, where I was learning street Spanish at work.
Back and forth.
Yeah, so it's neat that these kids have those tools.
It is,
And on that note, maybe we can talk a little bit about like what's the cell phone policy there, and how one, as a dad, and two, as a principal, like what do you make of this? Because it's something that we all care about as parents. Like, my wife and I are pretty diligent and monitor things pretty closely, and only allow so much time because we're so busy anyway. We don't have, because my kids don't have time to sit down for hours on devices. They probably would if we let them.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
But like for you as a dad and also as a principal, how do you manage the phone and stuff like that?
Yeah, great question. I think we're all in that together. For the school, I'm my current position lucky because most 3rd, 4th, 5th graders don't have their phone, or they don't care about it enough where they have that, just the ability to say like, I can turn it off for the whole day, put it in my book bag if I do bring a phone, and we don't see phones, which is great.
Yeah.
Now the junior, senior high, not quite the same. Those students all mostly have phones. My own children that are in junior, senior high have a phone. Their policy is it's away during class time, which I appreciate. I think that makes sense
policy.
To me. Yeah, they're in the hallway, they text a friend, they're at lunch, they're texting mom to say, pick me up after basketball.
Yeah.
I think that's okay. Kids have to learn how to use their phones too, which, we'll hear feedback both ways, where some parents are like, I absolutely want my kid to have their phone during the day. And we'll hear the opposite of, I don't want them to have the phone. I hear both sides. I think some come back to, I don't want them to have it at all is, how's that look at home for them? Like, obviously they have a phone. So then what's your policy as a parent? So, I'm kind of in between that. I think that they do need to learn to be responsible. It's just kind of like that digital citizenship of I'm on my phone at the right time. I put my phone away whenever I need to. Never can disrespect happen. So if you're on your phone and someone says, put your phone away, they're an adult, you put your phone away.
Right.
That's simple. There was some law that has been passed where cell phones will probably be away from the time they walk into school until the time they step out of school. Yeah. So that would probably take effect next year.
Okay.
We still have to work through that.
Yeah.
My brother is a principal at Johnstown High, and they put their phones away in like a little pouch. So once they step into the school, they put their phones away, and at the end, it's a magnet. They release that magnet, and they can bring their phones out. So some schools have adopted that.
Yeah.
He said it's going pretty well for him.
Yeah.
So yeah, he has some different stories at Johnstown than I have at Somerset.
I'll bet. Yeah, I'm sure. It'll be an adjustment, but I think it's one of those things where you do it and it works and it's good, then everybody will just kind of get along with it, and I don't think it's a bad thing because they can be incredibly distracting. Even for me and as an adult, I find it distracting in my own life.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. You hear that, you feel that buzz, you hear that little beep, and it's like, it's something like you're addicted to.
Yeah.
You're like, I need to see what it is, and I feel bad for kids. We grew up, I didn't have a cell phone.
No.
My kids love this story of I got a cell phone when I was 22 and I could buy it myself.
Yeah, right.
Okay, Dad, that's because you lived in the 1800s.
Yeah, that's
But
true.
I didn't have that, and I'm really glad I didn't for multiple reasons.
Yeah.
But it's got to be tough. I mean, we really limited social media for my kids. Like my 13-year-old daughter doesn't have any, and just allowed my 15-year-old daughter. Jumping into high school and being on a volleyball team, she's like, everyone communicates through that. I'm like, just text them. She's like, That's what old people do.
Yeah, right.
Like, well, what do you mean? Snapchat's the same thing. It's not
Yeah.
the same.
Yeah.
So, try to monitor that. They're pretty good, though. I mean, I appreciate my kids. I hear some stories of parents will say, like, oh, my kids they're on their phone a lot, or they retreat to their rooms once they come home. And me and my wife just told my kids, hey, we appreciate that, like, you don't go to your room. Now, there's not much fun stuff there. There's no TV. I'm not really strict with, like, you can't have your phone in your bedroom, but, like, you're certainly not going to have it once it's 8 o'clock or in the evening. Yeah. So I think it helps us to come together, in the living room, in the kitchen, and spend time.
That's awesome. Yeah, we do the same thing, man. I appreciate that so much. We have they plug it in at night somewhere, not in their room. If you need to charge it. My kids will hate me saying this, but they're not gonna watch this anyway. But we call it their 20 minutes. Can we have our 20 minutes where they have just whatever they want to watch on YouTube or Snap. Like my oldest, it was the same thing. She did this whole PowerPoint presentation on why she should have Snapchat, which I'm like, you worked out hard for, but we went into it with, we were hesitant, honestly.
Sure.
As when you want to protect your kids at all costs, and we know that these things can be a dangerous place, but they can also be a tool for good. And I can appreciate that these kids do communicate to each other through that. We probably would have if we had it, but I'm like you. I'm glad that I didn't. We had to call or jump on our dirt bike and go meet up somewhere and be like, okay, what's the plan for the day?
Right.
And that was, but it is a reality. And I kind of equate it to I'm a contractor. I use new tools all the time to make my work easier.
Yeah.
I look at it as a tool. This thing makes this podcast happen.
Sure.
I can definitely communicate with customers a lot easier. So I treat it like that. I treat it as a tool. Anything can be used good or bad. I can shoot a nail gun through my foot, or I can build something productive with it.
Right.
But it's one of those things we have to navigate. But on the technology note, so where are you guys using AI at all? As a principal, how are schools going to navigate this AI technology? Because it seems to be getting pretty prolific.
Oh yeah.
And what are your thoughts on that?
So it's going to be a whole different educational world, in my opinion. I think that's only going to grow, and it's an amazing resource, like you said. I mean, we talk to some parents that get upset to say, hey, the math doesn't look the same as whenever I was in school, or this doesn't look the same. I'm going, yeah, well, medicine doesn't look the same 40 years ago either.
Right.
So like you said, we've progressed. We're using our cell phones. We're using different resources. We're using Google. When the internet first came, it was like, don't buy anything on the internet. You don't want to do that. You could have your card taken, and now obviously that's not a thing. AI for students, at least again for me personally, with the younger kids, not too big of an issue right now. As older students, we're cognizant of the fact that they're going to try to use it to, take shortcuts. I think as much as we can see them write, as much as we can see them do their work in class, then it's their original work. We had some trainings from some different professors from colleges that came in to explain, hey, there's some positives you can use from AI, and you can pull it out. And there's some times where you're like, nah, this is a time where you're not going to have a student jump into that. And then for teachers, it can make their life a lot easier. There are a lot of different resources that are aligned through the standards, through PSSA, and it's an AI generated resource that you can pull and that you can use in your class, and it's going to save you a tremendous amount of time rather than having to go pull all that research together. There's different sites that are they're legitimate, they're educational sites, they're powered by AI, and that can help teachers develop those resources. Like we said, differentiate. They can make it really difficult for this student, and they can make it to a level where the student is meeting their needs. Just it's a pretty awesome resource.
Yeah, and it frees them up to teach.
For sure.
If they're able to use that as a tool, a tool for good, or a resource that they now have at their fingertips that we didn't have before. I kind of was I was very skeptical in the beginning, and then I just started recently playing with it a little bit, even with my business and stuff. I'm like,
right.
Oh, I can put a project dimension in there and see if he can spit me out a material list where I would have to go through and figure it out. But then I have to double check. Not everybody builds things. Finally, the snow's melting, temperatures are coming up, and everybody's thinking about the projects they want to get done around the house, in the house, or on top of the house. That's why you can head into SDC Building Center in Somerset for your friendly local experts on building materials, gas grills, charcoal grills, pellet grills, whatever you need, they got it. They're the best. That's why I use them as a contractor. So for all those things you need to get done to get ready for spring and summer, head into SDC Building Center in Somerset today. Same way. So
Sure.
you kind of have to, do your own homework. And, it's not I wouldn't take it as a foolproof. I always call artificial intelligence. I call it artificial or information. Like, I don't know how intelligent, but
Right.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I always say you have to babysit it. So it's like,
Yes.
I'm going to put this in. You're going to spit it back out at me. I'm the human. Teachers, you are the humans.
Yeah.
Nothing can take that place.
Yeah.
There's nothing more important than you. All the relationships we just talked about.
Yes.
AI can't do that.
Right.
So can it give you a resource? And you're like, this is pretty good. I'm going to change this. I'm going to send it back in. I'm going to pull it back out and see, can I make this better? Can I make it exactly how I want it to fit? But, just that personal touch that you have, I think that's more important than anything. Like you said, use it as a resource. And are they cutting down some of their prep time? Maybe, hopefully, because teachers put a lot of time in to prep every lesson, differentiate for students to make sure it's hitting the needs of everybody. If we can cut that down where you can spend some more time with family and you can get out of the school a few minutes earlier, great. I don't know that it always does that. It might just give you maybe like some higher quality resources, but I think it's constantly changing too.
Yeah.
It's just improving every day.
Yeah.
Wild.
Do you think there will be a time when schools will have to put policy in place to kind of protect not only the kids or maybe rein teachers in or anything like that are overusing it or taking advantage of it or something? Or
Yeah, and I think policy is probably already exists for that, like high school type level of making sure it's original work, and making sure it's not, AI produced. There's some different sites where we have a couple of tricks up our sleeve too. Or try to beat the kids.
That was going to be my next question. How do you even police that?
Yeah, so they have a couple of different sites where you'll pull their information, you'll put it in, and they'll say this was probably AI produced.
Yeah.
And just the personal touch of I've talked to you now for 6 months, and I've seen you write in class.
Yeah.
This looks a little bit different.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
Yeah.
So
that's a good point, because now teachers kind of have to be up on that. And that, like you said, you can't replace the relationship, and if it's already established, and you can have little clues it doesn't sound like you.
Yeah, definitely the tone and the inflection that they put in their writing. Yeah. I'm pretty sure I know where this came from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a shortcut,
It is, yeah. And writing is such an important tool that, everyone is going to need at some point, whether you're a principal or whether you're building, you're going to need to be able to have that skill. Now, you might not need it as much, but for you to take that shortcut at a young age and not learn those basics, it's going to be detrimental to you at some point.
Yeah, that's the fear. That's the fear, is that we rely on things that make us soft or our brains don't work as hard. I like low mind challenges. I like things that challenge my brain, and learning new skills. You know what I mean? Even for having you out here, I say guests that I have are out of my own curiosity. I had a perspective of a principal as a young kid, and even in high school, it's okay, here comes the law.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you can't I enjoy that challenge. If you had asked me when I was a student, no, I didn't want a challenge. I wanted it to be easier.
Sure.
But, so what kind of what do you enjoy most about being an elementary principal?
Yeah, I think just what we had talked about, having all those relationships with kids, seeing kids really grow. You'll get kids that come in and they have a difficult time with adjusting, and third grade, we really say that's where school really, really starts. PSSA is in place, so there's a standardized test. Starting into maybe a little bit more difficult, just tasks, even just sitting for a longer period of time, where you're really coming from that primary school where you learn to be a student and you're learning those basics, and now we're asking you to analyze.
Yeah.
We're not asking you just to sit down and memorize and give me some, you know, memorization type skills. Like, you're going to see it, you're going to analyze it, you're going to think about it, you're going to collaborate with your neighbors. So sometimes students are going to have a difficulty with those skills, and then you see them grow and you're like, oh man, they're maturing. I can see that. You know, everyone talks about discipline, and as a principal, like you said, me as a kid, and it's like, yeah, the principal, that's all they do. And I don't want to be that part, but there's so much growth that can happen in discipline.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
you think about like discipline, you're in trouble. It's like, well, discipline means like, I'm disciplined in the way I eat. I'm disciplined in the way that I work out. Don't think of it as you're just getting a punitive consequence. I'm trying to make you a more disciplined person. So having those conversations with young kids, and then seeing them get it and seeing them become like really great students that want to be there and that maybe don't shy away from the challenges is pretty nice. I think it's definitely one of the most rewarding things.
Yeah. Are you, I guess I would say, like, what's kind of your style or your approach to being a principal? Like, and are there things that you're thinking about throughout the day that maybe your teachers don't know or the students don't know? Like, I don't know, I picture like walking through the hallway and just kind of like having, like I told you earlier about my daughter, I was fly on the wall kind of watching them from a distance, seeing what's going on. Like, what is your mental checklist throughout the day?
Yeah, I think like be seen is the first thing. So be in the hallways, be in all those common areas that you see the most kids. So beginning of the day, kids get dropped off. You want someone standing there when your daughter's dropped off to be like, hey, how are you doing? Have a great day today. Like we just want that culture.
Yeah.
We want you to come in and be like, all right, I'm welcomed, I'm safe, I'm comfortable, I'm ready to learn.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's one thing that we try to push the staff is like, just have that smile on your face. Sometimes you might have to fake it. Sometimes you have a rough day or you have that argument with your spouse and you're like, it's behind me.
Yeah.
I kind of hang it up at the door and walk in and it's like, I need to be a certain way for our students because they deserve that.
Yeah.
You know, so I think just having some energy for them, greeting them, looking them in the eye, teaching them the basic skills of life, and then asking their teachers, like, what do you need? Because it's such a stressful job. I mean, it's so difficult. So if you need something, my door is literally open all the time. You just walk right into my door. If it's something that's really sensitive and I have to close it, then we'll do that. But I always have time for you. You walk in, we'll figure it out. If you have a problem, just tell me.
Yeah.
I mean, that's my biggest thing is like, I know it's kind of human nature to be like, oh, I'll tell this person, but not tell the main, just tell me.
Yeah.
We'll fix it together. You know, we'll work together on it. Just being in the cafeteria with them, another big common area. And they love seeing you, like, just coming back to that again, like they still enjoy like, oh, hey, come over here. Like, this is what I have in my lunch today, or I'm going to basketball after school today. So the conversations are very easy. There's never an awkward silence in elementary.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, you're able to like talk all the time.
Yeah. I love that about little kids, you know, and the things that they say and the honesty that comes out of them. You know, it's like, oh man, I can learn a thing or two from just having a conversation with a kid.
Absolutely. So Ash Wednesday, I'm Catholic. Get my ashes at 7 a.m. mass because I can't go in the evening. I'm not like 2 steps in the door. One of my students is like, what is on your head?
Yeah.
Like, that's from church. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Like, this is gonna be a long conversation. This is gonna be a long day.
Yeah, right. Were many of them inquisitive?
No, it's funny. Most of them don't even care.
Yeah.
They walk right by you.
And some probably know because they've done it themselves.
Sure. Yeah. But
that's cool.
Kind of sparks a conversation.
Yeah,
which isn't a bad thing.
Yeah. And so, is that tough? Because I know you're Christian, and we are too. We went to Wednesday night, Ash Wednesday service.
Okay.
I got home and I'm like, I told my wife, I said, do I have to wipe this off? Because my pillow sheets are white. And I know I've done it before, and she's like, yeah, you can wipe it off. I'm like,
if she gives you permission, you're good.
Yeah. And but so, like, how do you kind of balance that and pull that faith into a conversation without it being about faith? Like, are you bound to that or not?
Yeah, and now, I mean, I as a public school educator, like, I can't pull that in. I can't have group prayer. But like, I think it's what we talked about before. It's just the way you carry yourself. Yeah. If you're a Christian, if you're a man of God, then you carry yourself a certain way. Yeah. You treat people with that certain respect. And it's a small town. I'm at church every Sunday and every holy day. And I see multiple students, which is cool. And it's like we have that connection too. Added in a moment of silence on our morning announcements.
Yeah.
And just, to be sensitive to everybody. Like, you don't have to pray in a moment of silence. You're going to be silent. So you might take deep breaths. You might think about the test that's coming up. You might do nothing.
Yeah.
But be quiet.
Yeah,
You might want to
cool.
pray.
Yeah.
So at that point, you're going to pray.
Yeah.
No one's forcing you to do that, but you have that ability to say, this is a time where I can take that moment. And my kids went to Catholic school until 6th grade, and then it ends in 6th grade. And every morning it's like, hey, pray at some point today.
Yeah.
I hope that you can do that.
Yeah.
And there's always a moment where you can thank God, you can ask God for help. I think that I can't have that, like we said, a group prayer in school, but I think kids know, because they see through things a lot faster than adults. So that person does act the way that they're telling me that they, but I see them on Sundays too.
He walks the walk. Yeah. It's easy to talk the talk.
Way easier.
The walking the walk part is hard,
Especially when you're mad. You're like,
especially as a parent too, because you're like, the do as I say, not as I do thing doesn't work, and that's what I love about kids. They see right through it. Mm-hmm. I've taught middle school Sunday school class for a long time, and I do like children's sermons at our church now, and I just these kids know they kids can pick up a fake a mile away. It's so cool, and it's like they keep me accountable. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like that back and forth. Like I appreciate that about teachers and guys like yourself, like being in a place where there's all these kids and looking up to somebody, and kids will find that teacher that they relate to and that they really have a relationship with. And I've seen it in my own kids, and just to come home, they talk about these teachers, and when they see them out, they love it, and that's awesome. And like female teachers have this nurturing effect, and at these young ages, and relatability, and there's something really special about that. Like I said, my wife is a teacher, but there's something about that male presence, man of God that's there for these kids to. It's not every kid has a safe place,
right?
And that's the thing. Like that's one thing I've come to understand about public school systems. And there's critiques, but you've got a wide variety of personalities and home situations that come into that school.
Sure.
And you have to. It must be challenging to meet the needs of so many different lives.
Right.
Yeah,
it definitely is. We always say, just meet them where they're at.
Yeah.
What do they need? And this student might need a lot more, or just something different than this student. The one analogy I thought was pretty cool was, because people get upset to say, like, well, you're giving a lot more to that student. What about all these other students? And you're like, well, if you walk into a room and there's a fire, and the fire is blazing over here, and there's a little bit over here, you're going to put the same amount of water everywhere. And you're going to go put out that fire. So
that's a good analogy.
It did sink in with me, and I think kids are kind of the same way. Of like, I might have to spend more time with you, and maybe it's our kids where teachers don't spend maybe as much time with. It's not in a bad way. Maybe it's more independent, and that's okay. And they're in a different area and they can grow. But we have kids coming from so many different areas. I grew up with my mom and dad in my house, and like very old school structured home, and my wife didn't. So I can see that perspective even just from us and how we talk, and it can work. It's not that it's negative or it's bad. I really feel that the cornerstone of your being is having that really strong rock of your family. And it's tough to see kids that say, like, I do have to go back and forth between my mom and dad. And again, that can work. Sometimes it's just not the best situation. Maybe they're not getting along well, or they just feel uprooted. They don't feel like they're settled. So it's hard to come in and I'm like, hey, we're doing math. And they're like, I'm trying to worry about, I was kind of hungry actually, because I didn't eat over the weekend as much as I should have. And someone was fighting that I saw. And, we try to say, like, hey, those are adult type problems. We'll help you. We'll get you food and we'll get you clothing. We have an Eagles closet where, if meet them where they're at. If they need clothes, we'll get you whatever you need. If you need the weekend backpacks, we can fill that with food. but it's tough to see because you almost see like the adult problems come through a little child that they're not able to handle it yet.
Yeah, it's a shame that they even have to handle it. I went through that as a middle school student. It was a rough time, and that's where I probably was in the principal's office more than I should have been. You know what I mean? But just for ornery stuff, you know what I mean? But it's like that's tough for kids. I don't wish that on anybody, and but there are realities, and it's nice to know that there's people that these kids can come to if they have questions, because obviously mom and dad are going to do the best no matter what the situation is, or they're going to try to. But it is nice to know that they have that stability and that rock at school, because they can be, because they're there a lot.
They are. There's a lot of time with us, and the majority, like a really high majority, those parents, whether they have some struggles going on with themselves or with their significant other, they love their kids. And you see that come through and through whenever, especially discipline, when I'm like, hey, this happened, and they sometimes get angry with us to say like, well, what about this and what about that? And it's like, they're coming from a place of love. They don't want their child to go through it. We try to get to a point where we're saying like, it's good for your child to go through it. And that's hard as parents. I'm like, well, I don't want to see them struggle. I don't want to see them get in trouble. I don't want to see them not do well on a test. My boy's like studying sort of, and then he's done, and he's like, I don't really know how to do this. When's your test? Tomorrow. I'm like, well, it's on you, buddy, whether you do well or not. And as that dad, I'm like, maybe I can email his teacher, maybe I can study with him. I'm like, at some point he has to learn. I'd rather you learn at 11 that like you're accountable for your actions. If you didn't put your time in, you're going to see that. If you made a bad choice, that's okay. You can grow from it, but you're going to have that consequence. So I think that's the biggest thing that I try to like work with parents with is let's hold them accountable. Not in a bad way. Not mad at them. Just want them to be successful. And I think them being accountable now at a young age is going to help them grow. Some of the time I spent in the high school, I would see kids where I'm like, they were never been held accountable, and now they're 16 and 17, and they're going to have a really difficult time now trying to go back to some of just the basics of like, I was wrong. I'm sorry. You think that's easy, but like they have a hard time getting to that point.
The sooner they learn that, the better, and I feel for teachers, and because I try to teach manners. Obviously manners lead to morals. And I want my kid to go to school and to be respectful and to respect the teachers, respect authority, whether it's a teacher, the principal, or the lunch lady. It doesn't matter to me. Like you be respectful and kind and courteous. Treat your siblings that way, and your friends, classmates. And I was like, these teachers have a hard enough job. They should not have to teach these kids to say, yes, ma'am, yes, sir, thank you, please, be kind to your neighbor, And I'm like, but unfortunately, a lot of times, they're left to deal with that too. But I'm always like, man, just teach your kids how to be polite.
I think those basics are just such an important part of everything. I mean, we maybe like push it to the side, but basic manners, we'll do our video announcements, and our kids do most of those, and I'll do principal points where I'm like, hey, this week let's try to work on this, and this week we did really good on these things. And one of the things to work on, and it's every year, it's just saying hello to people. So I'll stand out front where the buses come, and it seems like I would say maybe 20% will actually look at you and say hello. And we have where our students now are greeters, because like you said, I just want that atmosphere where like you come in, it's like, hey, how are you doing? Have a good day. I like your jacket, just something nice. And how can I know how to do it. How can I teach my students? So we have 5th graders that have been doing really well. They get chosen to be greeters. So they come down and they greet. So they're saying, hey, good to see you today. And they come to me and they're like, Cacciotti, they don't say hi back. Like, I know. It drives me nuts. They're like, well, like a lot of people don't say hi. I'm like, hi, morning. And they walk right by. Like, it's just those basics of be polite, use your manners. And then in school, we always say, like, it's really not that hard. We tell you what to do. Like, get your book out, turn to this page. We're going to read this together. Now you write it down. So follow directions, just really simple things that I think sometimes we try to make it really complex.
Yeah.
It's like if you're, like you said, if I'm working on my kids, to be like, use your manners.
Yeah.
Let's start there.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. That come from a place of fundamentals. Like we teach that in sports all the time. Fundamentals.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's the same thing with having a relationship with somebody. It's basic fundamentals. Be kind, courteous, care, and you know, have manners. And yeah, that's a great idea though. Having the fifth graders come out and greet, you know, and they kind of get to see like, oh, you know, I hope I wasn't like that. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point to reflect on, right?
Yeah.
Did I do that whenever I was that age?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we like that. Try to just get them involved as much as we can. We have like a good vibes club that some of our teachers put together.
Oh, really?
Came and just like pitched an idea. Like, yeah, sounds good. Like you said, the culture, you want it to be upbeat. It's an elementary school.
Yeah.
You want it to be positive. Obviously, there's times where we're focused, and
Yeah.
I really have been praising our students because I've been in classrooms a lot lately with our walkthroughs where you just go through 10 minutes, check out what they are at in the lesson. Our kids are focused whenever they're in, and it's time to be like, hey, all the silliness aside, we're done, we're out of the hallway, let's get it done.
Yeah.
I mean, our students that maybe are high flyers, or students that maybe, you know, are maybe school's not their favorite, maybe it's a struggle. When it's time to go, they respect their teachers enough that they are very focused. So the positive stuff, like the Good Vibes Club, they did like a coffee bar, you know, brought teachers coffee. They did like balloons in the guidance counselor's office. They're going to go into some classrooms and show a couple little slides of just like that, like manners and positive things. Because sometimes it's neat to see, like, I say it, it's like, oh, Mr. Cacciotti talking again.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, that's one of my peers. Yeah, I can maybe hear it differently.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they think they're going to be there forever, you know, and you don't realize how fast time goes when you're that age. You know, they just want to be grown up real quick, you know, but it actually does happen. Before you know it, the middle school kids are going to high school, you know, and high school kids are going to college. And I mean, I just know, like, lately it feels like that if you're somebody, an employer, you are looking for a sound individual who has it all together and has some work ethic, you know. And I mean, like, that seems to be a commodity, right. You know, where kids got his or her head on straight, and they're driven and self-motivated and polite and
right.
willing to learn. That willingness to learn thing is like, oh, they're going to receive the instruction and, you know, be humble enough to say, oh, I don't know everything yet, you know.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely, I think that has changed. I know we had talked before about what are some of those things that have changed. Kids are still kids. I don't feel like that's a lot different.
Yeah.
They have different resources. They have different technology. But, you know, I think however you're going to raise those students, however you're going to treat them, they're going to absorb that. And they're like, my path to education was, I don't think it's like unique. I'm the youngest of 6 kids. So big Italian Catholic family. My grandpa on my dad's side came straight from Italy, illiterate in Italian and English. So he went and worked at the railroad as a custodian. You know, I think his thing to my dad was like, don't let this be you. Go be educated. Yeah. Educate. And my dad would tell you, like, he certainly able enough, but didn't get through college. So then he goes to the railroad and starts working as a general laborer. My mom is a saint, and she stayed home with us 6 little rascals. My sister's the oldest, and then 5 boys. And my dad was just very adamant because he felt like, I think, you know, he didn't do what he was supposed to do. He didn't get that education. He was working a job that he did not love, being a laborer at Conrail. Yeah. So it was like, you're going to get an education. You know, I'm going to push this on you. Obviously not, you know, a ton of finances with 6 kids and a general job at the railroad. But he's like, my biggest sacrifice is I'm going to send you to Catholic school. Like the discipline, the faith, and then obviously the education. I'll sacrifice financially to do that. So we go through Bishop Guilfoyle in Altoona, and I'm 6 years younger than my closest sibling. So by the time I get to Bishop Guilfoyle, the tuition had just skyrocketed. You know, it's a lot more expensive. And he's like, hey, you know, you got a decision to make, him and my mom, or you can go to Altoona, you know, or you can go to Bishop Guilfoyle. I'm like, well, I've just come through all this feeder schools with my buddies. I want to go there. Like, you're going to need to help pay for that tuition. So I kind of joked, like, I've been through so many positions in education. Like, my first job in education was the priest at my church said, you can help in the summer to pay your tuition. You can help the custodian. So I was like the assistant to the assistant custodian at 14 years old. And I feel like I'm such an old person. I tell that to my kids because I'm like, I walked to work at 14, which I did. We had one vehicle, and my mom would let my dad take it in the summer because we didn't have school. And then, I'd walk down to the school and like pick weeds and paint and just do whatever jobs they had for me, and then hand that over to my tuition. So you cared about your grades a little bit more at that point, and same thing. Then you go to college, and they're like, I'm the youngest of 6 kids. Financially, we can't help you pay. You can take loans out. And again, I'm like, I'm getting out of here as soon as I can. Like, I enjoy it, had a great time, but I want to go start making money instead of keep paying money. So it was definitely like pushed on us, and there's a lot of educators in my family. My sister is an athletic director at the University of Maryland. My brother Bill is the principal at Johnstown High. Brother Mike is principal at Bishop Guilfoyle. Brother Chris is a teacher in Altoona, emotional support class. Brother Matt is in your field. He's contracted. He's the only one that's not in education, and a principal. So it was just that push of get your education, and then you can make your decision. You can build if you want. You can do a trade if you would like, but it's not going to be where you don't have that option because you don't have an education. Yeah. So it was kind of nice to have that push.
Yeah, it is. I wouldn't trade it for anything. Even though I'm not using what I went to school for, it doesn't mean I couldn't get back into it. I went to Allegheny College in Maryland right out of high school. I signed up like 3 days before the enrollment period was over, and my wife, who we were dating at the time, she's like, what are you gonna do? I'm like, I don't know, figure it out. She's like, just go for something. So nobody really was pushing me. I didn't have a parent that was saying, go. My dad probably wanted me to stay at the farm, and I was, it's like, go for criminal justice.
There you go.
And I did different things, but I enjoyed it. I ended up finding a program at Rutgers University to do the golf course thing, which was very affordable. It was accelerated. They cut the time down. And so you could get, like, if you were working at a golf course, they could like send you away to go and do this program. It was very condensed, like rapid fire, all day, every day was like a 10-hour day focused. But then they were able to make it more affordable by that. Like, it wasn't like class. Like, I went to University of Maryland and did that university thing for like a semester or two. It was incredibly expensive, and I had time in between. I wasn't focusing, you know what I mean? And then when I went to Rutgers, I'm like, okay, this is coming out of my pocket.
Yeah, it's different.
And I'm like, I'm focused, and I actually applied myself, and it was beneficial. It was a great experience, and wouldn't trade it for anything. I actually just talked to my roommate last night who's from California,
Nice.
And I never met anybody from California, and I got roomed with this guy, and it was like two opposites, but like we got along so great. It was so neat. And those are experiences that if you go, that you'll have the rest of your life. But I'm like you, go, be focused, kind of have that mindset of like, this is what I'm doing. I'm going to work hard at it and come out and hopefully start paying that back as soon as possible if you have to pay it back.
Yeah, sure.
But it's, I feel for kids right now who are trying to figure out what they're going to go to college for. What advice do you have for, and I know you're an elementary principal, but you've been in high school before.
Yeah.
Like, where do you see kids kind of going, not where, but what do you see them going for?
Yeah, I mean, I think just following something that they're going to enjoy, because, I mean, at the end of the day, like, you're going to be there from beginning to end. And, if you don't like it, whether it's teaching, if you didn't want to be teaching and I pushed you because I'm your dad and I'm an educator, it's going to be a really long day. People say, you have the summer off. It's like, it's a really long year if you're worried about the summer. So, I mean, I think you just find those strengths that you have. And my oldest daughter, she's phenomenal at math. And she's like, well, what am I going to do with math? I'm like, I don't know, but we can start looking at that. You can start looking at physical therapy or something where, you do enjoy that movement, but then, math and biomechanics is brought into it. Trade schools, I think, are just so important, especially here.
Yeah.
I think we send about 150 students from high school to Somerset Votech.
Yeah. I love Votech. I was one of those kids. I mean, like, there was a reputation, I think, oh, you went to Votech, but no, I disagree 100%. Like, you can touch, if you're into that, go for it. You can still go to college.
Yeah.
If you get through Votech in high school, like, that was a perception, like, oh, you couldn't go to college if you went to Votech, but that was not the case.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, and when I need to call someone for my furnace, like, I need them to be there. Yeah. Know what they're doing. And
Yeah.
when they charge me, I'm like, okay.
Right.
I mean, that's it. I mean,
Right.
kind of, your hands are tied. It seems like there's a lot of older folks that are in some of those professions that are retiring, and like you said, I think it's hard to find some young kids that want to work really hard. They can make a lot of money. They can be successful, and if it's something they enjoy, why not? You know, I think it's something that they can feel fulfillment in.
Yeah. What's we'll close here shortly. What is something that you wish parents, or what's something that you wish parents knew about your job as principal?
I think just like how much we care, how much we are on the same page. I think maybe it was old school of like, that's the school, this is the home, we're kind of separate. I mean, like, not like against you, but like, you know, you have it out for a student, and completely the opposite. Every student you have in the building, you care deeply about. You want them to be successful. It's your community. I live right where I teach. I shop there. My kids are there. So like, I'm embedded in it. Like, there's not one part of me that's not rooting for any of those students. And sometimes students are making, you know, as they get older, they're making some life-altering mistakes. You know, sometimes it's a threat or it's something that's pretty serious. And, you know, I know the other side of it, where parents are like, you know, take that kid and remove them and be done with them. And that's still a student in our system. And like, how can we get to that student? How can we make them better? Because most likely they're going to be a young adult and an adult in your community.
Yeah.
So we need to work together to make sure that your child is safe and they're successful, but that then all the other kids in our district are the same.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do these outlines, and then I don't use them the whole time, but because
that's all right.
And that's good. That's the side that the conversation went naturally. But I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Oh, what's one thing that kids do that make you laugh?
I think like whenever we have assemblies and stuff, like they will dance and like they don't care. I'm like, I'm not doing. I'll dance a little bit, like be goofy with them, but they just like, they'll go all out.
Yeah.
And it's pretty cool to see, like, they don't have that like, oh, this is awkward yet. Some of them do, and some of them get to that age.
Yeah.
But it's pretty neat to be like, yeah, man, you're still just a kid.
Yeah.
Just fun.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love seeing the little ones that they don't care.
Yeah.
They're not worried about anything socially yet, and they're just having fun.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, we lose that, and we can all learn something from those kids for sure.
Absolutely.
You know, it's funny because my kids are like in that gamut. I've got an elementary, middle school, and a high school student. You know, and I get to watch that transition take place, and like you, just super proud of them, and they're all eager to learn and good students. They take after their mother. I don't, you know, where they get it, but they study hard and they actually care and doing the extra things like learning the language and stuff. But I'm like, go kids, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm very proud of them. But I think the Somerset School District is blessed to have you there.
Thank you.
It was great to meet you. Like I said, I've seen you around, but we've never been able to sit down and have this conversation, and I'm so glad we did. I think that the male role model is so important in today's society and culture. And as well as the female ones, you know, like I said, the teachers that have that special nurturing ability of a mother.
Sure. Yeah.
Is just an amazing quality, and what makes them such great teachers, you know. But I do appreciate, like you said, be seen. I'll say this, like, you guys are seen. Like, it's not a 9 to 5. You guys are at sporting events.
Yeah.
You're at board meetings. You know, you're all over the place, and it's nice that these kids get to see you whenever they're doing sports outside of school or whatever it is. And I know that's true just with my own kids' principal and superintendent and stuff like that. It's just when these guys put in a lot of effort, and ladies, and grateful for it. The public education system, I know that you're bound to certain things by the state government, federal government, but within each school is its own kind of culture.
Sure.
And I'm just, I love the fact that my kids are going to school in Somerset County, because they're some of the most down-to-earth people, parents, teachers that I've ever been around, and haven't been other places. I don't know if it was like that for you in Altoona, but I just really appreciate the work ethic these teachers and principals like yourself put into our kids.
Thank you. I feel the same way.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a parent too, so it's now I get to see my kids go through the schools that I boast about.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, I just talked to my daughter's Spanish teacher talking about Duolingo, and I was like, "Hey, is it Dancing Friday today?"
Yeah.
She's like, "Oh yeah." I was like, "Do they actually do it?" These are ninth graders.
Yeah.
She's like, "Oh yeah." She's like, at first it's funny because like they're that awkward, like I don't know, and now they're like fighting, like I want to be in the front.
Yeah.
The boys. She's like, "Oh yeah." The boys are fighting to be in the front.
That's awesome.
It's awesome.
There's hope for the future.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So, Cacciotti, right?
Cacciotti, yeah.
Yeah, I said it wrong at the beginning.
That's
Sorry.
all right. Yeah.
Marc Cacciotti, thank you so much for coming in and sitting with
Thanks
me.
for having me.
All right, man. Thank you. All right. Appreciate it.